All right, time for our weekly visit with Dr. Kumar. Today we're talking about a warning from the CDC saying illnesses from mosquitoes, ticks, sometimes fleas are on the rise, a trend we've seen in recent years, and it's certainly something you just told me you've noticed as well.
Absolutely, and we've been commenting on this over the last few years. And we know about these new infections that are coming out, 9 infections that are spread by mosquitoes and ticks. The ones that we've been in the news in the last couple of years, Zika virus, came over from the Caribbean, and if pregnant women are infected with it, it can cause microencephaly, small heads in newborn babies.
Very scary to hear about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And chikungunya, which is kind of a arthritic condition. You get fevers, chills, and really severe bone pain.
Yeah.
It's self-limited, but while you have it, it's pretty painful.
Right, exactly. So many of these things that you don't want anyway, even if they're not long-term.
And we've seen them reported increasingly over the last several years, and over the last year it's like tripled. So since the last 13 years, 600,000 cases have been reported, and the numbers appear to be increasing. And
it seems like we were just talking about this. Sometimes the government, whether it's federal, state, or local, is just a little bit behind in preventative spraying or tracking once it's in an area.
Yeah, that's probably part of the reason why these numbers of infections are increasing is the lack of complete public infrastructure and public health to combat vector-borne illnesses. These are called vector-borne illnesses. Mosquitoes and ticks bear the viruses and parasites that cause these illnesses. So these vector-borne illnesses, we're not fully prepared to treat them, like the pesticides that we do use. If we're able to get funding to spray the neighborhoods ahead of time, we're not testing whether the mosquitoes and the ticks are resistant to the pesticide or not.
I know you're a Houston guy too, to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I remember those trucks in the middle of the night in Houston spraying for the mosquitoes when I was a little kid here in the summer, and it worked. I hope it helped.
It did, yeah. I mean, those things are important to do, but you don't see them as much, in our neighborhoods because funding for those have decreased. There might be even some resistance to spraying with pesticide, but it's an important way to prevent these kind of vector-borne illnesses. And also the reporting, like the surveying exactly how, like we were talking about Zika in the Valley last year, how pregnant women were reported to have Zika, but that came across from the south part of the United States, but we didn't have appropriate measures set up to track how it was coming on, so we knew that it was coming, and we could have sprayed prophylactically. And those kind of measures are lacking, and we need to pay attention to those. But, they're increasing because of increasing commerce. People are traveling more. They're going to the Caribbean, where some of these mosquitoes and chikungunya and those kind of illnesses occur. And there's increased travel and mobility, and so the ability to spread mosquitoes and ticks from travel is also increasing. So that's part of the reason these numbers are rising. Now, as we lament the lack of public funding in control measures, we should applaud them in at least the reportability that we're having increasing reporting. We have better ability to convey exactly how prevalent these diseases are when they occur.
Right.
So part of the reason that the spike is coming could be
we're hearing about it.
Yeah, we're hearing about it. That we do have the infrastructure for that.
Yeah, and if the infrastructure is not quite where we want it, what can individuals do to take care of themselves during this time of year?
That's why it's critically important to have this discussion, because you can't just count and wait for the reports to come in to say that here it is in the neighborhood, and now you should be taking these measures. You've been doing this all the time. Right. Insect repellent with appropriate DEET, DEET, that prevents the mosquitoes and the ticks. Permethrin-coated clothes when you're hiking out in the woods. As counterintuitive as it seems in the heat, long sleeve shirts and long sleeve pants, or at least socks that tuck in. And taking those measures, not
drain
going
water around the house.
Drain the water out. It's a brilliant idea. I do that all the time after a rain. You drain the standing water, because that's where mosquitoes lay their eggs. And if you have standing water, your mosquito population on your property is going to increase. And also just staying out of the thick of the woods. Stay on the paths and not in the thick of the woods. And these are simple measures that you can take. Long sleeves, DEET, permethrin. Get rid of standing water. We, the public, have to do it for ourselves.
Even without the diseases, you don't want all those mosquitoes and ticks. Do that anyway. Very good advice, as always. If you've got a question for Dr. Kumar, you can email us at askdrkumar@gmail.com. Don't forget, you can like Dr. Kumar on Facebook, as Dr. Kumar, or follow him on Twitter at MD Pradeep Kumar. Thanks again, as always.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.